A denial is made when our insured is not liable. There is no legal liability for us. Our insured was not negligent in the claim, and that's when we issue denial letters. We determine this in several different ways: police reports, statements, witness statements, all kinds of good stuff. As well as taking a look at records that we have available to us. We take a look, we go in Google, we take a look at the roadway, we determine what the stop signs were, who went where, all that kind of good stuff. So I've issued a lot of denial letters. A lot of people are convinced that they are not at fault for the claim. The denial letter usually only states something to the effect of that we're not legally liable for this loss. I've had claimants call me up and say, well, you're saying that I'm at fault. I'm like, no, I'm simply saying that I've analyzed all the information and, we don't have any negligence in this claim. So we're not going to pay for your damages. You'll have to go through your own insurance. If you don't have insurance or you don't have liability, then obviously you've self-insured yourself. You've made the decision that you have the financial funds in case you are in a claim where you are legally liable for those damages. I will move it to the subrogation department. Our subrogation department will determine the market value, and they will contact you to get those monies repaid. So, for standard insurance, so that was for self-insurance. For standard insurance, it's a process, just about the same process. With self-insurance, and that's companies that have the funds to pay all the claims that they came due at once. They have those funds, available to them. They pay out of pocket. So when you're talking about self-insurance, you're talking about exposure. You're talking about the thought processes are a little bit different. So each claim has two sides. That has property damage and the bodily injury claim. For property damage, it's usually not a big deal to go to deny the property damage. People go through their own insurance all the time. They've looked at their finances. They've determined what deductible they are willing to afford or can afford, and then they have, so there's a thought process that goes behind when people get insurance. This is what they can afford if something were to happen. They go through their own insurance. As far as a bodily injury claim, it's a little bit different. So we're talking about exposure for bodily injury, and these can be very expensive. We have something that's called a nuisance claim, and a nuisance claim is simply a claim where we're probably not at fault, or it's something that we are unable to determine liability on, and we make a small payment to get rid of the exposure. This could be, to me, I could toss thousands of dollars around like pennies. A couple $1,000s cash can change people's lives, so I have to remember that. I'm looking at the claim. I really, really hate to deny bodily injury claims. The reason being is because once I deny the bodily injury claim, the only way that they have to pursue their claim further is to file suit. And that's when it gets expensive as far as for the insurance company, because then they have to pay the private investigators, do surveillance, do all kinds of background, get defense attorneys. I spend my time and everything else when I could have just, I got puppy. This is the one. This is the one. This is Blue. Blue is a Dachshund. And he's a puppy. He's been driving all the elder dogs crazy. Hi, I love you too. Oh, I love you too. Love you, love you. I run a little doggy daycare, so there are lots of pups. I'm booked up right now, so There are lots and lots of little puppies running around. I have one eating now. The elder one is eating. He's having some quiet time while eating. Um, so, as far as a nuisance claim, so I rather um, let's take for instance, let's take a rock. Okay, somebody says, "Hey, your truck spit a huge rock and went through my windshield, and now I'm injured." Um, okay. Well, what I can do is that there's no liability in rocks. You haven't brought any evidence that we were driving recklessly or there was some sort of negligence on our part. But I will pay for your windshield. What is it, like $200-300? I will pay for that, and then I'll throw in another $300 for you to go to the urgent care. There's a little bit of pain and suffering in there, a little bit of inconvenience. Um, let's do this. I'll do, I'll do 500. Sign my piece of paper. Um, you know, 500 for the bodily injury. 300 for your windshield. $800. Sign my general release, which stops all injury claims as well as property damage claims, and we'll just call it a day. I've done that before. I've done, ice missiles where there's no negligence. There was a family in a vehicle. It caused $3,000 worth of damage. They were willing to sign my general release for just the property damage. So that was cheap to me. It was a couple $1,000s for the property damage. They signed my release. Everybody's good. The adults were the guardians for the children, so they were able to sign for them. All kinds of good stuff. So I'd much rather in the exposure with the release than make a denial for the bodily injury claim and then have that lurking out there. And there are lots of attorneys. What they'll do is they'll just wait till the last day of the statute of limitations, and then they'll file suit. And the person's been treating all this time, and they say you owe us, $150,000. We've determined that our claimant, our client, maybe was 50% liable, so that means that you're going to owe us half of that now because they wouldn't have got all this treatment. When I could have just gone in the very first get-goes, paid for their property damage, and then, paid for their, some sort of nuisance value. So with self-insured, it's all about limiting the, ending for sure the exposure. We want that, ended. For, the standard insurance is more of a process. They're going to take a look at the liability. They'll just send you a letter. It gets printed out. Millions of letters get printed out, at a service center. It goes out. We've denied your claim. And then they have, lots of defense attorneys and everything that work for them. And, it's they got it more streamlined. It's more like this is the end of it. We've denied your claim. Where with self-insurance, it's more about, working on a solution to end the exposure reasonably. So, I hope that makes sense to you. If you do get a denial letter, I always say is that, you have a low deductible, high policy limits, things happen. So, if you think that you get a denial letter that wasn't fair, your insurance company can always go through the R form. You're always open to make an injury claim. Lawyers love to, say, well, we've determined that our client is 0%, negligent, and that you owe us all their, that's what they get paid to do. So it's not, denial letters aren't always the end of it, but especially for the bodily injury claims, denying it is something that is well thought out. I've denied bodily injury claims before. I've done it because a police report puts them at fault. We have evidence, and the attorneys refuse to send a withdrawal letter, and they'll just probably file suit. The claimant will treat and treat and treat, have these huge bills, go through surgeries, and then they'll file suit, and then it just goes on. It's almost like it never ends. It goes on for years. Lots of money. So anyway, I hope that you've had fun tonight. I am taking a look at 2 sleepy dogs, 1 not so sleepy and a couple not so sleepy. So I hope you have a nice day and be safe out there. There's a lot of crazy drivers. Okay, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, we'll chat. I don't know everything, so okay.